Let me show you some problems that I ran into making this cake, how I fixed them, and some top tips along the way. My first little tip is if you want a baby blue or sky blue shade, then use navy blue. Just use a tiny bit of the navy blue and you will achieve a lighter blue much quicker. I only had to use a drop or two of the sky blue to get it the colour I wanted. Another little tip, when you are colouring your buttercream, get out any decorations, toppers, ribbons, anything that's going on the cake and match the colours as best you can, because when you've put the buttercream on the cake, obviously you can't change it. I wanted the white buttercream to be as white as possible, so I added some titanium dioxide. It's the Sugar Flare Super White. I mix it with a little bit of water and that gives a really bright white. Do you know what? As I was making this cake, I thought to myself, do people know how much time I spend pushing out air bubbles? I can make a batch of American buttercream and it will be silky smooth, no air bubbles whatsoever, but I will leave it to rest, and then when I come back, air bubbles have just appeared out of nowhere. So I just wanted to let you know that this can happen, and I constantly use my palette knife, spreading it side to side to get rid of the air bubbles before I apply it to the cake. It's much easier to get rid of them before you spread it on the cake. If you are having issues with air bubbles on the cake, then the only way to get rid of them is using a hot scraper. Okay, so I wanted to use this bubble scraper on the bottom half of the cake, and to do that you need to add a really thick layer of buttercream. You need to add a really thick layer because if you don't, you will end up scraping the cake underneath and you will see the colour of the buttercream underneath in between the lines. I have learned the hard way doing this. Also, make sure you're using the scraper the same way round each time because there's a different pattern at the top. I always clean the scraper in between passes, and if the buttercream isn't looking too smooth, then it actually helps to use the hot water, but make sure you do clean off all the water. You don't want to get water in your cake. And the heat from the scraper actually smooths the buttercream. Now, I went round maybe one too many times here and the buttercream was starting to set and then the scraper dragged through it. But it's dead easy to fix when you know how. I just used this scraper backwards and went over it. That did seem to work, but if it hadn't, I would have just heated my scraper up and gone round it again. So I said at the beginning of this video that I ran into some problems, and this was one of them. I have used the buttercream to make a drip before, but it just wasn't working for me this time. So to get rid of that hideous drip, I put it in the fridge and then just used a knife to scrape it off. It's much easier to do that when it's cold, and then I just added a really thin layer of white buttercream and smoothed that out. I wanted to add a little border around the top. I couldn't decide on the colour, so I used both. It's always a good idea to squeeze out the first bit. As you can see, there was quite a lot of blue at the bottom of the piping bag. Now, the last thing that went wrong with this cake I couldn't actually fix. It's just a good job that I tested it out on the back of the cake. I think that sometimes it looks good when you splatter paint onto a cake, but this time it just didn't. Or did it? Do you think that looks right? I don't know. I think it just looks a bit messy. And that's it. Thanks for watching.